Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
Oh, hi kids. It's the end of January. First year of the month is over, thankfully.
I don't know how we survived it.
I'm barely surviving.
I don't
right now.
know when this episode's gonna come out, but we'll find out if we're big losers again this year or not.
Yeah. Love glam season. I just know we're gonna look good, so that's all that matters.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I'm Martyr.
I'm C Tepper.
And this is Wigging Out. Yeah, late January edition. I'm very excited about our guest today.
Do you want to introduce them? Because you always make me do it.
I do always make you do it.
Mhm.
Yes, I'll introduce them. Today we're talking to the diva. The diva from I met them back in I think Drag Wars days. It's Blue.
Ew.
Drag Wars days, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Did you do
Back
Drag
in
Wars,
Brooklyn.
Martyr?
I did Drag Wars like twice.
I didn't even know that.
I think I went every once in a while, but yeah. I think that's when I first met Blue.
I
But
was
welcome.
definitely a Drag Wars baby for sure. That was my stomping grounds.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna
but-
get all into that.
Yeah. But welcome. How is your 2023 so far?
It's been interesting. A lot of good, some questionable situations, but you know what? You gotta be ready for the good and hope that the bad never happens again.
Oh,
T.
wow. That's true.
Yeah.
Deep. So we're gonna go right into it. Where are you from originally?
If you've ever been to any of my shows, you know it because I say it 50 million times. I'm from the South Bronx, born and raised. Was technically born in Manhattan, like the hospital I was born in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But raised in the South Bronx, like my whole life until like 2020. Then I moved to Brooklyn.
Hey.
What was life like growing up in the South Bronx?
I would definitely say I always knew that I was a little bit different than like the kids in that area.
Mhm.
I don't know. It was rough. Like, it's growing up essentially in the hood and kind of just, I really always loved like performance and things like that. But like, we didn't have a lot of money. So when I hear about like a lot of people who aren't from New York talking about like, I did this theater program when I was in the 5th grade, I'm like, I did whatever program they had for free for us in school. And whenever there was like an after school program or anything like that I could sign myself up for that cost $0, I was there.
Mm.
So I got very lucky with a lot of like culture that I got to experience when I was younger because I was a good like student, and like my mother definitely taught me like education is the only way you're gonna get out of here and like put your all into school. So whenever I saw an opportunity to perform or do anything artistic, I always jumped on it for sure. But it definitely wasn't like in the easiest spaces. And usually if we had like a music program, it'd be like for 1 year we get funded. So I learned how to play the saxophone for a year. Then
Hey.
good luck if that same program comes back.
Oh my God.
Just dabbling. Like I played the guitar at one point, a violin, but like none of it really went anywhere because it was literally like a 6-month program and that was it.
I mean, getting those jack of all trades kind of going, but it sounds like the arts and creativity were like integral to like just surviving. How did you start getting into drag?
I feel like when I was younger, my mom always used to show me all this. My mom asked me the same question. She's always like, how did you end up like in queer spaces? I'm like, you literally showed me Tu Wong Fu when I was like 6 years old.
The gateway.
Called Crooklyn, and RuPaul's in it, and she's like this like tall like woman dancing with the guy who owns the store, and she's like, I ain't no putza, I keep my panties clean, and like showed me like all of these like crazy things when I was younger. But I feel like when I really realized who RuPaul was and any like what drag was the Liz McGuire movie Supermodel. Oh
Yeah.
sorry, I was like Supermodel. My mom like was like, do you know who the original singer of that is? And then she kind of showed me everything. But I didn't go to my first drag show until I was like mid-20s, well, early 20s. Yeah.
Do
But
you
my
think-
very first drag show was an all like, for lack of a better word, all like AFAB show.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the very first drag show I ever saw.
Oh,
wow.
interesting.
hmm
Was that
Like-
was
Where?
yeah? Was that in the city or
It was at Stonewall on a Sunday. That was my very first time.
oh
at Stonewall.
dag?
It was hosted by Crimson.
Okay, I was
Katie,
Crimson show?
and she had this queen named Miss Crime Scene, and then like a bunch of like baby queens that was like Crimson's like drag children.
Mm,
It
that
was
makes
really
sense.
cool. And I was just like, oh, I didn't even question that idea of like whether or not like what gender could do what. I'm like, this is entertaining either way.
Mm.
And you know, they're all queens. And then I stayed for the invasion after, and then I got to see a little bit of everything.
When were you like, this is it, this is what I want to do?
Yeah,
Drag.
well, no, I was like, not then.
Not that, no, definitely, probably not.
No, I think as I went to more and more shows and I started predicting what the next queen was gonna do, I was like, I could probably do this if I can like kind of map out exactly when she's gonna do the jump split and you know everything else. Yeah.
So how did you come up with your drag name?
Oh geez. Okay, I did have a first drag name and it was really
Okay.
bad. So my actual name is Jasmine, and I don't mind people calling me that. But when I'm in drag, because there's a persona, I'd be preferred to be called Blue. But I do love my name. So my first drag name was like Jasmina Green Tea. It's really bad. It was yeah. That one was really rough. I just wanted something so different. I went through drag names left and right, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then I didn't do drag for like 2 or 3 months after that. And I was like, I need to change it because no one could pronounce it. And my nickname used to be Blue because I used to have blue hair. So I was like, I'll just stick with Blue. I've already been called Blue before and I'm like used to it. So that's pretty much the story. I'm like, my name is so simple. It's 4 letters.
I kind of like it though. Like
Listen, I love
that
a,
it's like a share or something.
yeah, I love a one word name clearly, but
That's true.
yeah, I think it works with I know it's a color, but I think it works with your aesthetic and how you
Yeah.
perform. So yeah, it
I mean,
fits.
I also like the idea of like, you know, growing up, like Blue was for boys.
Mm,
Mm,
You know what I mean?
interesting.
yeah.
Like, I'm not a boy. And then also, I always like to reference like Blue's Clues. Everyone always thought that she was a boy.
Yeah.
Like when I was in drag and I first started doing drag, no one could clock me because I wouldn't talk. Because and I would cover my boobs and I would wear padding and like no one could clock me because I painted like totally different until I opened my mouth and people were like, wait a minute. So
Mm,
that's why I like to think about it too. If I really want to be deep and lie, and that's where I say my name.
I like that.
Yeah.
What have been your like big influences for your drag?
I would say I feel like that's such like a hard question. I feel like
I'm sure it's a lot of things.
because like before I'm a drag queen, I'm a fan of drag. So my biggest influences, honestly, is all drag. I know that sounds like really like cop out, but there's like not one specific thing or one specific person I can pinpoint
Okay.
that I would say is like, oh, like they are like my inspiration. I just kind of take inspiration from like a little bit of everything. But I think that my favorite part of drag is just taking the pieces that apply to me and then also throwing in like new pieces that only someone like me could do. Like I said, like being from the South Bronx, a lot of my drag I get to do stuff that I grew up around and the kind of music that a lot of drag queens who are not from New York, like bitches from like Utah and Idaho, like never even heard of this song. So I get to do like more fun stuff and bring more throwbacks and things like that. But no, I don't have any like specific inspirations.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like career wise, like I look at obviously like my drag mother, you know, Madeline Hatter.
Mhm.
She's really like smart at like how she kind of dips her toes into a little bit of everything, and gets to know people. She knows drag queens from across the country, or across the world, honestly.
Mhm.
So in terms of like business wise, Madeline definitely is somebody that I look up to.
Mm. She's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, like I took over like half of her shows, so
Yeah.
like,
Well, yeah.
Literally.
Probably a little something seeped in.
How would you, going with your influences, how would you describe your drag performance style to like an outsider? Someone wants to book you. What are you going to tell them?
party.
Party. Work.
Like just like a fun, good time. Definitely somewhere between PG-13 and rated R, depends. I me and my girls were bartending a wedding and they needed two of us to perform. And originally I chose like this mix that was really raunchy, and then I got to the wedding and I was like, I need a PG-13 this. I need to switch songs like ASAP. But yeah, like I think that like my energy is always just like just have fun, have a good time. And I think I enjoy like niche song choices, but not in the way that like Brooklyn niche, but niche in a way that's like like I feel like Brooklyn niche is like Kate Bush. Like
Yeah.
It used to be, and now it's like
Ever
But,
since
like-
that Stranger Things.
yeah, now it's over.
but no, like I would say like niche, like to go back to like Ashanti and like
Mm.
Guy and like different like things like that. More, I guess, like the things that I culturally grew up with. But yeah, blues drag is just like fun. Definitely a little bit more slutty or streetwear, but I could throw a little fashion into there too. I enjoy being versatile. Who doesn't love a good verse? Okay.
That's right.
We love a verse side. We really do.
I was gonna say earlier, it's unusual for us to interview New York queens who are actually from New York.
Mhm.
Like, is it weird for you to be like, I don't know, in spaces where like a lot of people are like, I'm Brooklyn drag or I'm like Manhattan drag, but like they clearly just moved here like 2 years ago from the Midwest.
That's a great question. I think that it is important. I was literally talking about this with Flower Tortilla. She's or dating. That's my girlfriend. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did not know that. That's so cute. Okay.
We spilled the tea. You know?
Yes.
And, you know, she's from Texas, and she was talking about how she wanted to like write a play about like gentrification. I'm like, yes, but you've been here for 10 years, and like I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, yeah, I'm happy that queer spaces exist in New York City for those people who come from spaces that don't have like queer spaces. So I'm happy for that. But I feel like a lot of times a lot of queens don't check themselves in the space that they take up. Like I feel like a lot of native New Yorkers that are queer or gay or lesbian don't feel as comfortable in a lot of the queer spaces in New York City because they're not made by the people that understand them. It's made by this person who came from like Nevada and like brought the scene, and yeah, it's a great scene and it's accepting, but it's not as safe and as comfortable as it is for certain native New Yorkers, especially like Black and brown like queer folks. So it definitely does bother me, especially like when there's all these bar owners who are taking up so much space and then they're booking the same 5 girls who moved here from like Wisconsin last year. And yet there's girls that are living here like struggling who are very talented. They just don't have that like ass kissing mentality, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's not to say that anyone that is from out of town or like not born and raised here doesn't deserve their spot. You know what I mean? I just think that there's a lack of awareness of the space that they're taking up, and the lack of like openness that they have for other folks that may not understand the same way that they understand queer spaces. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just so funny. I feel like me and my girls talking because most of my friends that I'm close with in drag, most of them are from New York. Like a handful of them, if they're not from New York, they're from Texas. I don't know.
I can relate.
Because like me, Roque, Boyish, Rain, Athena, like we're all from New York City, Mamshi. But then like Piper, who is my drag daughter, Flower, Essence, they're all from Texas. It's so funny that it just like played out like that.
It really is though.
Yeah. Interesting.
I can definitely relate.
No, I think there's a lot of Texas queens in New York.
Yeah. I was thinking like horchata specifically.
Chata.
Yeah, chata.
I thought she was from Mexico City.
That was
Um,
from the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm getting myself confused. So you talked a little bit about like nightlife spaces like not necessarily being the most welcoming. I have a lot of friends who are AFAB performers who like also experience that. What has your experience been like in those spaces?
I always feel like an asshole or like not an asshole, but like I always feel like weird saying this, but like I, of course, like, you know, who doesn't deal with like adversities and like being like a different person entering a cis male space.
Yeah.
But I think that I always felt like I belonged and I always had somebody that had my back, that I never really felt like, oh, like because I'm a woman, I get treated like garbage. Like, no, I think I always demanded that space. Like, does it happen? Yes, of course it does. And has it happened to me? Probably. I think I just don't pay attention to it, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I think I've always just really felt solid and like the talent that I have and the joy that I have for drag, that anybody who tried to be like there's even a close friend of mine who when I first met them, they told me afterwards, they were like, oh, that they didn't think that I belonged there because I started at Drag Wars. But that's why in the beginning I used to like cover myself up a lot so no one could really clock me until they talked to me, and then it was like, oh. But I really enjoyed in the beginning kind of just letting my talent speak for itself and then being like, hey, like this is a part of my identity. Like I am a woman that does drag. And now I don't hide it as much. And I kind of use it more as a platform for all women, not just cis women, also trans women that do drag. Because a lot of people ask me like, oh, are you a real woman? And I don't like that question because the word real could mean a lot of different things to different people. And I feel like that's a way of like, if I was trans, like if I was a trans woman, I wouldn't know how to respond to that. Because then I'd be like, I would say, yes, I'm a real woman. And then it would come down to my genitals, whether or not they considered me real or not. So whenever someone asks me that, I'm like, so what's a fake woman? You know, just know I'm a drag queen and what's between my legs really is none of your fucking business.
Deep.
That's right.
Speak on it.
I like that. And now I make a thing for me at every show that I do to like definitely give that little speech. Especially I'm like, you enjoyed the number you saw, right? So it doesn't matter. I will say this, that like I don't have any like cis female friends. Any of my femme friends are like non-binary or trans. I'm not sure why that is. I feel like my vibe in drag is just different. Like I could kind of fit in Hell's Kitchen, but I also fit in Brooklyn. But I feel like a lot of like cis drag performers that are women or like non-binary, like femme drag performers tend to kind of fit more into like the Brooklyn scene, and they're a little bit more like niche and like kind of like a lot of the people that do like the Cake Boys shows and things like that. Like I would love to be a part of them because I feel like in a way we're looked at the same, but my aesthetic, it just, the way that I carry myself is just very different. Yeah. I like, there's no hard feelings, but I just, I don't know. I just don't like fit with, I guess, the people you would think that I would in a way.
You're creating your own space. That's okay.
Exactly.
I think everyone has to do that in nightlife.
Somehow.
I think that's the best way to look at it. Because like if you go into nightlife, like where do I belong? And like this people won't let me in. It's like New York City is massive. You can spit in any direction and find a drag brunch. And you can go to a pet store and find a drag. Like, okay. And I'm not even joking on that one. So it's just like there's so much space for everyone here that like if XYZ is not giving you the time of day, guess what? There's another one right behind you.
That's true.
Yeah. I think with that we should take our first little break and we'll get back into, I think we're going to talk about your mother. So we'll be right back, kids. Bye.
Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
Ooh, and we're back. It's almost February at this point.
Yeah.
I know, right? Okay. Blue,
Yes.
I met you at Drag Wars, the OG. Drag Wars. How was it competing? And you kind of alluded to it. That's how you kind of got your drag start. But how is it competing weekly like that? And then also you won All Stars. So tell us about
God, no one ever asked me about that. Thank you so much.
that.
I loved Drag Wars. My first day there, somebody tried to pick on me, and Roque like turned around and was just like, "Yo, leave her alone." And I was like, "Thank you." So after that, like knowing that I had certain friends there, it just was like so easy, and it was something that like every week I looked forward to doing. I forced myself to do a brand new number. I never repeated a single thing. I tried to like get a new outfit or stone something or do something new every week. And I really loved it. It kind of became like our little family meeting. Because that's where I met Roque, Boyish, and Rain. Yeah. And so then we'd all go weekly, and then Roque was kind of like the mother of the group. So as like things went on, like we also had another friend named Atlas, who, shout out to Atlas, does a lot of the wigs for like the Rue Girl. She does like all of Jax's wigs that had this season of Drag Race. Jax was also in our like era of Drag Wars, as well as I think Jasmine Kennedy. I'm like name dropping.
No, you're right. I remember.
But yeah, it was just so sweet, and it was like one big happy family. And like whenever somebody would try to come in and like come for one of us, it was just like crickets. Like if it was like it was like the end of like Mean Girls, and they were like, we know how to deal with the new plastics, just push them in front of the bus. It was kind of like that, but I loved it, and I had won a couple of times, and then Shaquita announced like All Stars 3. Before I even started doing drag, I saw All Stars 2. And I was like, oh, I can totally do this. And Shaquita kind of like handpicked us as to who was going to compete for All Stars 3. And myself, Jax, Boyish, Rain didn't do it, Roque, Vinny Gaga, Pietra Parker, Cormac Kelly, Tsunami Muse, a lot of really like iconic girls that are still doing it pretty big.
Yeah, I would say like they're all still working, which is very unusual for Drag Wars.
Yeah, it's true. We had a really, really solid season and like a solid family. Like I literally still hang out with all the girls. I'm still friends with a majority of them. My lovely dog back here
agrees.
But we all did it, and basically it was like a 3-week process. There was 12 of us. The first week was 6 girls, 3 continued to the third week, and second week was 6 more, and then 3 more continued to the next week. And I'll never forget when it was the second week, which is the week that I did it. Roque like really did this amazing number where it was like she had other models come out in outfits that she wore during her run at Drag Wars. To me, the only issue was that like nobody remembered it. And it was just like, and from knowing what I knew, it was sickening. But if I was in the audience, I would have been like, why are these random people wearing these outfits? Olivia Lux was one of the people that was modeling for Roque too. Yeah, so Roque didn't win that first week. It was like by drinking votes, and I did an alien blue number. Like my whole body was painted blue, like my face was painted blue. And Zavaleta, my sister, she let me borrow. She has like this really cool like pump where like she makes tears come out like on your face, and she let me borrow that. And so like the whole number is about like this alien like came from outer space and got trapped here, and she meets a man, but then his Grindr notifications go off. So she's like, oh, it's because I'm blue. And then I start crying, and all the blue tears just like literally just start streaming down my face. But this bitch used the hottest water that she could have found pieces. Yeah. So because it was hot water, it stained my skin so quickly. So yeah, and then I had 30 minutes switch from the blue face into my second number. Basically, it was supposed to be like a signature number and like a diversity number, something that you would never do. So I literally wiped all the blue makeup off, tried to scrub my body as much as possible, and then went from blue to like a full head to toe pink outfit and did like a full choreographed Beyonce number. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, I had a lot of fun that first night. And then I got to go into the second night, and I did like a rave number.
Mhm.
Like I had like black lights, and I turned all of pieces basically into a giant rave, and I threw out glow sticks, and then came out. We glowed in black light, and we did like a whole like light whip. It was really cute. You can find it on my Instagram.
I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah.
It was a really cool number, and I went first. Like I remember being so nervous. They were like, "Blue, you're first." And I was like, "Of course." And then the second number I did Imagine, but not by John Lennon, by Gaga. And I just did it one spot, and I had like the Imagine sign on the floor, like the one that's in Central Park in Strawberry. I had someone print it out for me. And as people came up to put flowers down, they would give me like a cup of like some type of colored water. And I made a rainbow on this white cotton dress. And I stood in the same spot the whole time. And then the winners, they're still controversial to this day.
I remember.
Yeah, it was a three-way win.
Yep.
And they say that I deserved a win on my own. But honestly, I didn't give a shit because we each got a coin and we split the makeup prize. And I was fine with it. And I honestly, that's one of my proudest moments in drag, like being able to, I've been doing drag for less than a year. And I whipped out, but I will say this, like I spent maybe $300. I borrowed a lot of stuff from people. A lot of people did a lot of favors for me. And like, it took a village. And that's what I'll say about like any new upcoming queen. Like you don't have to have $1 billion, you know, to look great. You just got to have good connections and a lot of people don't rely on because it's hard. It's hard to just like learn how to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
And if you have the money for it, then great. But yeah. Yeah, but so 3 of us won, but then some people felt like only one of us should have won, and everyone had their own opinions. And then one of the other people that won felt like me and the other winner didn't include them. It was a mess.
I remember.
You got the title though. So
As long as you got the money, honestly.
yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like a highlight in my career. And like I do thank Shaquita a lot for like lighting a fire under my ass. But I feel like once I got what I could get from Shaquita, I kind of was like, thank you. And then I moved on. Yeah, but Drag Wars was great for us. It really kind of was just like our first like weekly gig without getting paid, essentially. And I got to meet a lot of amazing people. People still to this day that I go see, and they're like, "Oh wow, I remember you from Drag Wars." I'm like, "Oof."
What would you say you like the number one thing you learned from Shaquita would be?
Professionalism. Shaquita does not play that. She's like very much like, if you're gonna come onto my stage, like you are gonna come out here. Like you don't have to look perfect, you know, but like the effort and how you hold yourself and how you show other people respect is definitely something that I learned from her. Yeah. She was definitely a little scary and like sometimes a little mean, but she kind of just like certain things, it was just her just being an old school drag queen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just who she was. And the more time we spent with her, the more we were like, ugh, this old bitch. Like you know, she was just trying to like whip us into shape, and you know, you could take it, then great. If you can't, then get lost.
Yeah.
That always, yeah, but she definitely taught us to just like always give your best and never wear cotton dresses. That's it.
Why?
Rain did like a burlesque number once, and she wore this like black like cotton like cheap dress, and the burlesque outfit underneath was so cunt. She was like, "Well, why did you come out in this like horrible dress?" We did not care. But yeah, she definitely taught us like how to step our pussies up and like, but like in the shadiest way. Yeah.
Yeah. So after like Drag Wars, when did you like become part of like House of Hatter? Was it right after?
It was actually right before All Stars.
Okay.
I got asked to do All Stars, and then Madeline has started the show called Boop at the Ritz, and it was the very fun. And she asked me to be the guest, And Rain was also the guest. And I remember telling Zaba, because Zaba and Virginia Thick were already a part of the family. And Zaba was like, "You better not be late today." I was like, "Well, I'm already running late, girl, so like you're gonna have to be okay. But what if Madeline wants to talk to you before then?" And I was like, then she could talk to me after. I guess Zaba knew that she was gonna ask me to be her daughter that day. And I got there very late. So after the show, Madeline asked me at the very first booth. And then she knew I was doing All Stars. Well, the thing is, before I started doing drag, I used to go to Turn Wednesday.
Yep.
And so I used to go to Turn Wednesday every single Wednesday, and I would always answer the trivia questions. And I used to wear wigs because my hair was really damaged. So every Wednesday I'd come up with a different wig, and I'd have like crazy like makeup on because I just loved makeup. It wasn't even to be like a drag queen. And I remember I complimented Madeline once. I was like, "Oh wow, like you're looking really slim." And after that, forget it. I gave her one compliment on like because she had been working on her body, and then she never forgot me. After that, so every time I went, she would like get me a shot, or she would take care of me, and like slowly got to know me. And then I became friends with Nasty Queen, who was like Madeline's best friend at the time. So every time I went to Turn Wednesday, I would just hang out with Nasty, who like sold shots and stuff. So Madeline already knew me from that, and then I did Open Call when Madeline used to host it before Holiday stole it. Yeah, that's the tea.
Ooh.
That was not always Holiday's gig. That was Madeline's.
Ooh.
And when I first started doing that, that's when Madeline kind of was like, "All right, well then I'm gonna tell you what you need to know, honestly." And the very first time, she was like, read me for like not doing more. Like, if my wig slid back, she was like, "You need to get Masked XP." Like, she literally was teaching me and mothering me from the beginning until she essentially asked me on the first night of Boop, and then I was the kid.
Aw, that's cute though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Madeline, like we've seen it, all of us, like me, Virginia, Madeline, and Zaba has kind of seen each other at like our lowest and also at our like highest, you know.
Mhm.
So I'll always have love for all of them. They'll always be my family no matter what happens. But we all stick together because, you know, like at the end of the day, the reason why we were family was because we were all so tough and like gave each other tough love, but also like never let like stupidity like really get in between us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it been like seeing every like part of your family on Dragula?
It's been really fun. Well, for Madeline's season, it was really fun because like to kind of see how Madeline like glowed and enjoyed it. And you know, a big part of her sobriety was on that show, and I'm very proud of her and her sober, you know, journey. And she really loves to travel. She loves, if you ever see Madeline, don't ever be, I know she's scary, but don't ever be afraid to talk to her because she loves to talk to people. She just don't ask her stupid questions. But yeah, I think that seeing her on the show and seeing her like just grow, and I want to see her on Titans, but I'm just happy she wasn't on the first one. She definitely belongs in the second one.
Mm.
Felt like it was
A lot of people agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one, if they put her, Zaba, Dahlia Black, and Victoria won, so I guess not. But if they had all of them together, it's like drama. And as for Zaba, it was fun, but a lot of like I stupidly joined in on a lot of the Twitter fights. It's just like it's so crazy when like these people, like even now with Jax with the whole sugar thing, it's so crazy that I know these people so personally, and this person that saw 30 seconds of them just thinks they know exactly who they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, now I know, like, don't answer back. But some of the things that I got called for defending Zava and saying that she wasn't misogynistic was crazy. Yeah. So it was really fun seeing Zava on that journey, but also like I hated like feeling like I had to defend her and like the response of people online because Zava's a very like abrasive person, you know what I mean? She's very much like, this is who I am. And a lot of people just can't take that. Yeah. It's hard. And like a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you should try out for Dragula," but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm always ready to fight everybody. So like I'm not
Like you'd be perfect for it.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for.
not out, so we'll see.
Well, you kind of had a great transition from under the tutelage, is that the word?
Tutelage.
Tutelage. Thank you, Caitlin. Of Madeline. And now you've like kind of taken over Mad Mondays. How has that worked out? And tell us all about how it came to be.
I will say that a lot of like my confidence and like opportunities have come from Madeline. And there's a lot of times that I'm like, oh, like thank you for this opportunity. She always reminds me that like I earned it. It's not like she's just giving to me just on her kid. Because trust, when we first were her kids, there was plenty of stuff she could have given to us. Like she could have let us run open call, but we weren't there yet. We didn't deserve it yet. We hadn't earned it yet. But she definitely just taught me a lot. And like through Boop, I got to kind of start hosting shows. I used to be really awkward and like shy. So slowly, whenever Madeline would start going on tour because of Dragula, I kind of got to start being able to host. And then of course quarantine hit, and I did a lot of like live shows, which is essentially like hosting. It's just a little less scary because it's in front of a camera. You don't get to see anyone's faces. And then once we started doing shows again, you know, Madeline wanted me to help her like DJ at her gig for Judy's. And then was like, oh, well, if you want to DJ, you want to start performing with me? And then things started opening back up, and she slowly started going on like more like tours and things like that. So me and Rain started doing that show more. And as we became more of the party girls on a Friday night, and Madeline was more like artistic, she kind of was like, listen, like this show has become more of a party than like my artistic outlet. So why don't you and Rain keep this show? So that's how I got that one at Judy's. And then for Mad Mondays, whenever Madeline was out, I also started hosting for that. And I think that Mad Mondays, if you don't know what it is, it's like literally Brooklyn's largest open set. Like any drag performer, even if you're not in full drag, like I've had Zaba come in fully just boy and just give a number. There's no rules for that show besides no full frontal nudity, but that's a different story we've had issues with. But you're interacting with so many performers, sometimes in upwards of 30 to 40 performers. And I think that after a while, you know, Madeline's been doing drag for almost like 15 years. It kind of exhausts you to like put yourself out there that much every single week. And I think Madeline did it for a year and was like, you know what, this has become something great, but I'm going to pass it down to you because I feel like you have the energy to kind of keep up with the girls. And that's kind of how it happened. And me and Boyish really just love doing it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite gigs to do. I was there last night. I'm exhausted now, but I've met so many amazing talents. This newest like generation of drag is just absolutely amazing and so appreciative and so attentive. And I don't know, I just really love the love that Madeline has made at Mad Mondays. And the space that she's made is very much like everyone's allowed, you know. You can do whatever number you want. Just don't get naked.
What have you learned from like hosting? Because I feel like a lot of queens struggle with that.
I just like to talk. Wait, what do you mean like learn from hosting?
Like I feel like a lot of people like are scared to talk on the mic, and then it's also about like keeping the audience engaged, but also like keeping the show going forward. How have you learned to handle all that?
I think, like I said before, I'm a drag queen. I'm a fan of drag. So whenever I go to a show, I really do pay attention to the hostess and how they hold themselves. But in the beginning, like it wasn't easy. I make like awkward little jokes because you kind of just like banter off of what you've heard from other queens. Kind of like when you're given the rules of drag, you're like, here are the ABCs, and we all kind of do the same thing. And we all kind of go, we're like Tinkerbell. We need you to clap. If not, we die. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all the same, like regurgitating stuff. But the more that you do it, and the more that I feel like that you work with people that you get to have conversations with on the mic, the easier you kind of find your niche in your hosting and like what works for you. A lot of the shows that I do host, I host them with friends, like all my sisters essentially. But yeah, it was really rough in the beginning. You kind of just like, as you go on, you get more confident, you say more silly things just pop into your brain. And you just go off of the cuff on that. Yeah. It depends on what show I'm at. Like for Mad Mondays, I'll watch the queen performing or the performer performing, and like something silly will pop into my head to say about this performer. So once they're done, I'm like, wasn't she giving this thing or XYZ? And everyone starts cackling. I'm like, see, that was a funny one. Like,
No, I was gonna say I love you and Boyish's like dynamic on the mic. You guys keep the show running pretty smoothly, so it's great to watch. I haven't been in a minute, but it is fun to watch you too.
thank you. Yeah. I mean, like, whenever anyone sees like me and Boyish or me and Rain, they always just go like, wow, like you guys are just really like in sync together. I'm like, yeah, like we share one brain cell. It's because we're actually friends and we actually spend time together outside of drag. Like that's not just my sister, like that's my best friend, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a difference. And for Mad Mondays, we've got to kind of keep the show rolling because with 30 girls, you gotta
I know.
yeah. So sometimes it's like it's also
30?
first serve the order for Mad Mondays. So sometimes I'll get 3 ballads in a row and I'm like, all right, I gotta get this energy back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need a ballot night.
And there's no problem with that. Sometimes you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes all 3 ballads would be boring. But like it just you get a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the last night's Mad Mondays was insane. It was really, really good.
I saw
some videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been like getting better and better and better. And like a lot of them come up to me and Boyish after and be like, how was that? And we were like, yeah, that was great. You know, we love you. Like, yeah, we try to give everyone an individual like introduction, something about them before we introduce them.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. It's like, I feel like especially up and coming queens need a little bit more coddling, you know?
I also need coddling.
Who said you weren't up and coming, girl?
It's like I am like the guidance counselor. I'm the auntie to like 50 children.
They need it.
They do.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot about House of Hatter. There is an upcoming legacy show at $3 bill with everybody.
Whole family tree.
Literally on the poster.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
That it's gonna be grand, and that if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, you need to, because Madeline is hounding me for not posting on my grid. So if you haven't gotten it, please do. It really is. What I'm really excited about the show is that like I feel like a lot of times like House of Hatter kind of had like when it was just me, Virginia, Madeline, and Zava, it was very much like, oh, they're the spooky house. But as we've grown as performers individually, it's kind of become like we're just the party girls, but that are artistic. You know what I mean? Like Zava literally would show up to a place with no makeup on. Like on my birthday, we had Tragic at the queue. And we went to dinner. She had not a stitch of makeup on. I said, what are you going to do? She goes to the back of the queue and like makes a tape mask, like duct tape mask with like a big pointy nose and like throws sunglasses on it. And it's like, all right, let's go. And I was like, perfect. Like, so I think what I'm most excited about for Legacy is like, you know, Victoria's gonna bring the gore and like all this special effects. Madeline's gonna bring the body, the hair, and the very like sensual, yet still like kind of like spooky side of the House of Hatter. But then like, you know, Boyish is planning on doing something more hype and party, and I'm planning on doing something more ravey, and Rain's gonna do a burlesque number. So it's a really like versatile cast. Although like we're all family, we're still all very different. Like I'm like, even Olivia Lux, who a lot of people don't know, but that is also Madeline's daughter.
I did not know that, by the way, until I saw that poster.
I think I somehow knew that, but here we are.
Olivia Lux was the first winner of Open Call. So when Madeline did it, it was actually like seasons. And just how she's doing Mother now is how she did Open Call. So the only ever finale for Open Call, Olivia Lux won. And that's how Madeline Heard just became closer and closer. And I think after Olivia got off of Drag Race is when she asked Madeline, like, hey, do you want to be my mom? And Madeline was like, yeah, of course. Like, I mother you. Like, I, you know, she's the one that she goes to for a lot of advice. So that's kind of how that happened. And I've known Olivia since she started as well. So like we've been friends for a long time as well. So pretty much everyone that's a part of the House of Hatter I've known for a long time, except for Victoria and Opulence. I don't know them like personally.
Mm.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
they're down in Florida, so like, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Dark-sided.
There's a connection with them because I didn't realize that either.
Madeline adopted Victoria a long time ago.
Mhm.
I think maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. Like definitely before I even existed into the house. Yeah. And then I think Allegra, I think that's her name. She's also like Victoria's kid, but I don't know who they are either. Like I haven't met them. But it's gonna be really fun. And I know they're gonna be in the dramatics. And then me, Boyish, and Rain are probably just gonna be naked. That's pretty much it. But I think it's gonna be a really amazing show. And she included a meet and greet. It's actually really pretty like cheap. I think entry tickets are like 20 or 25. But if you want to meet and greet, it's like an extra $10.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got AJ taking all the photos.
That's
Hey.
all good. Good photos then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Age is
Yeah.
great.
It's gonna be fantastic. So I'm excited. So if you don't have your tickets, get your tickets. That $3 bill, Legacy, March 2nd.
And on that note, I think we should take our last little break and we'll get into our usual come down, I guess. We'll be right back,
Did
kids.
you just say wig?
Bye.
Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
And we're back.
We're back.
Ooh. We kind of talked about it throughout the episode in our little break, but our first question of this break or this section is do you have any plans on ever going on Drag Race or Dragula or Camp
Camp
Wanakiki?
Wanakiki.
What a kiki now. You know, there's a lot of drag performers who's like, oh, that's one of my goals. I mean, I would obviously like it would be an amazing platform to have. But I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes, I guess is
Mhm.
what I mean. Like, I would love to do Drag Race. I would love to do I always think about like how like I would love to be like one of the first like cis women on Drag Race. But also no, I don't know if I want to carry that burden of a bunch of people just you know, if Maddie Morphosis can do it, so can I.
Right? Honestly, though.
But no, I said I was thinking about doing Dragula probably before I would ever do Drag Race.
Mhm.
Drag Race is a little bit more like involved for the audition tape. But as of right now, no, I'm kind of enjoying just like being a drag queen in New York City and kind of getting my footing and meeting a lot of people and doing a lot of different shows. I think this year my goal for 2023 is to work with a lot of people I've never worked with before.
That's a
I
good
think-
one.
Yeah, and I with how many new queens are popping up,
Mm.
also very possible to do.
I always say there's at least like 50,000 drag queens in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds so dramatic, but
It's accurate.
I think Thodicy did like an actual head count a couple years ago, so the numbers are
Yeah,
probably
right.
skewed. But like, I think it was like 4,000
Yeah.
like actively working drag queens in like the New York area. So
Like Long Island,
Yeah.
Jersey, like the tri-state.
number has
yeah,
to be 10K now.
Gotta be.
it has to be beyond what we can recognize.
Especially the pandemic babies who all
Yeah.
got on Drag Race.
You
Yep.
leave Marsha alone.
It wasn't just Marsha.
Oh gosh. Going into that also, I know you're plugging Legacy show. Do you have any other projects in the future that you would like to promote?
Or just weekly gigs, wherever
Or
the
weekly gigs,
kids
yeah.
can find you.
Where do I start now?
Yeah.
So as we said it a billion times, Mad Mondays is at Metropolitan, 10 p.m. It's an open stage. Me and Boyish usually start the show with trivia. If you've been there before, it's the same 12 questions I have written on my phone. And then like pretty much anyone who wants to and like anybody who wants to perform to show up at 10:30, you sign up and you do your performance. We've had people like live sing. We've had people from all over the world as well. And we've had people from like Asia, you know, Europe, a lot of South America, like literally come visit New York and be like, I'm gonna do Mad Mondays. And it's been really, really cool to be a part of that. And hopefully we'll get a second Glam Award. But if we don't, either way, we're still gonna be sickening. So that's Mondays at 10 at Metro. Wednesdays, tragic, or like I like to say, you know, for my French people, tragique. At the Q, and that's with Zavaleta and myself at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. And then Fridays at Good Judy's. The show's called Bad Judy's with myself and Miss Rain. And that's after Drag Race for right now. So I say 10 p.m. And then I'm also doing the Rihanna like Super Bowl, like that crazy like night of 1,000 Rihannas. $3 bill on February 12th.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's another big show that I'm doing. I don't know. I just did a Spice Girl show at $3 bill. That was really fun. But
Ooh.
yeah, I had no clue who the person was producing it. They just hit me up. I was like, do you want to do this for this amount of money? I was like, oh yeah, sure. One number for that much money? Yes, sign me up.
We love.
So now I'll be working with him from now on. But yeah, I always have a lot of like little miscellaneous gigs, and I really am just like fortunate.
That's great.
Yeah. Booked and blessed.
So what's the best advice you've been given about drag, or that you could give others about drag?
I think the best advice that I can give anyone else is like, it's drag. Like, it's fun. And I know a lot of people say that, like, yeah, of course, like people are gonna judge you. But I think the best advice is like, if you are doing something that you feel solid on and it's a choice that you made, like what anyone else says doesn't really matter, you know? And my second piece of advice is to be kind to everybody in those drag spaces. That includes like bouncers, bartenders, because you never know who's gonna get you your next gig. You never know who's gonna tell this person, oh, I had a horrible interaction with this person. You know what I mean? So I think for a lot of up and coming queens, the biggest thing is just to be kind to everyone and acknowledge everybody. That door person could be working the hottest party and could recommend you as a performer. But if you're nasty or you pay the door person does, like it doesn't help you. You know what I mean? So biggest tip is just be kind, introduce yourself to everyone. Yeah, and show respect. Yeah.
That's good. That's one we don't usually hear from that on the show.
So that's one you don't usually hear?
Yeah, that it's not a piece of advice we usually hear on this show, and I think it's a very important piece of advice.
Probably almost
like one
vital.
of the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the reason why, like, when I'm not in drag, if I go to a bar 9 out of 10 times, I'm not paying. I just tip the bartenders because, like, I literally ask them names and I tip them when I'm performing. If I'm like hosting at Mad Mondays, whoever is bartending that night, me and Boyish will take out a percentage of our tips and tip out the bartenders. And you get to know them and they become your friends, and like they're co-workers. Nobody works for you in these bar spaces. Y'all are all equals, you know? So yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And then they would be like, oh, that bartender's rude. I'm like, no, you're the rude one, bitch. That's why he's not nice to you, because you're rude.
That's right.
As a door person,
we hate you the most.
Yeah. No, I just I see that a lot of people being rude or wanting to, you know, cause drama for no reason. So just being nice to everybody is great.
Yeah. Flower just started doing the door at Coming Around Bitch Fest, and a lot of the queens, like, nobody introduced themselves to her. So like she was handing out the drink tickets for all the performers that came to that open set. And not a person, well, not a single, a lot of them were never said thank you or like what's your name? Like, hi. Like no one introduced themselves. Like it was all very transactional.
Yeah.
And I was like, you silly, silly girls. Like, yeah.
And she's such a sweetie. I love her.
She's nice.
I'm glad she's like the resident door girl now.
She won a Glam Award for Door Goddess in 2017, I think. I don't know.
Oh, work. I love that.
Hope I could put mine next to hers.
Aww.
Oh, that's cute. I think it's my turn for my question, Caitlin.
Yeah, your favorite question of the evening.
Yes. Mixed Blue, do you have a tantalizing tale of drama, craziness, debauchery that you've witnessed or seen or heard about in nightlife?
Or participated in.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, legally, am I allowed to talk about this? I think the craziest thing that's ever happened to me is just like I became friends with like a. This is what's just like to be careful in your surroundings. Like, I became friends with like a bouncer that I used to work at Macri, sometimes Metro at the Rosemont. And they were a lesbian, and I thought they were just like friends with me, and like they kind of slowly, like I guess, fell in love with me over like quarantine because I just thought we were friends. So when I kind of saw that happening, I kind of backed up a little bit, but like I didn't want to abandon my friend completely. But then like they kind of got crazy where they would like send me like these crazy messages like the bus is to Atlantic City, leave tonight at 5:30. I bought our tickets, meet me at the station at this time. Like I can't live without you, kind of like crazy thing, right? And so then it was just to the point where I was like, please leave me alone. Like I'm not interested. I'm so sorry that like you feel this way. So I ended up blocking them on like every single type of app. And one day they showed up to Mad Mondays. And I was hosting. It was on Valentine's Day last year. And me and Boyish were hosting, and so this person I saw coming towards me, I was like, "Oh, why are they here?" So they like tapped me on the shoulder, like to say hi, and I turned back around, like, "Don't talk to me." And Boyish, who had no issue with this person, turned around and be like, "Hey, girl!" And out of nowhere, they were like, "Oh, what's up?" And they took their glass and like chucked it at Boyish's laptop and like shattered the laptop. Like we were in the middle of someone's performance. We had to shut the entire performance down, and they tried to jump into the DJ booth to like literally attack myself and Boyish. Luckily, my good sis, my big old Judy, Miss Gender Role was there. And she's like she's a big girl. She's strong, and she pushed this bitch like literally into the ice machine from the DJ booth at Metro, and it was just wild. Like she was just saying like how Boyish was homophobic. I think she like lost her mind, honestly. And that, like, a lot of people, for some reason, think that Boyish and I are dating. I don't know why. I know it's just like, do you not see? Like, it's so funny. It's happened to us quite a few times. She was like, Boyish isn't gay. He's homophobic. He's homophobic. Like yelling all these crazy slurs, and like Nancy from Metro got like punched in the face, and it was wild.
Not Nancy.
Yeah, to the point where like we had to call it. Honestly, is a very scary story, but like
Yeah.
it's just like to just keep your eyes peeled and be careful who you trust and who you keep within your circle. That was a year ago. Hopefully, I've never seen this person ever again after that. But still, like I don't know, nightlife is just wild.
Yeah.
You know?
That's terrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Me too. Yeah. I'm sorry that happened, but Jesus Christ. Ugh.
Well,
Agreed.
Agreed.
On a better, more positive note, and our last question of the evening, where do you want to take your drag in the future?
I would really love to travel for sure, like to do like my own tour. I feel like a lot more before quarantine, a lot of queens made their own tours. Like they would just like book hotels and like tickets to places, but would just reach out to like venues within those spaces. And I don't see a lot of queens doing that anymore. So I would say definitely in the future, like doing more tours, even if it is like with like a drag family, and making more of like a name for ourselves in New York City and kind of traveling with that. And also, I don't know, like opening the minds of having more mainstream drag performers that don't look like, I guess, like the basic cis male
White twinks.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that, like, I am very privileged to be I think I am the only, like, cis woman that's working full-time in drag in New York City, to my knowledge, that has, like, weekly gigs in, like, several boroughs. But like, although it's like nice to say like, yeah, I'm the only one, but like that's kind of sad. Like, so in the future, like I want to open up more people's minds and like kind of bring up the people that don't get as many opportunities. Like, you know, my drag daughter is Piper, and they're like non-binary, like trans person. But I see a lot of myself in them, although we may not identify as the same. But I want to see more people like them come up. You know, they see very differently in the community. And yeah, just like more love and more just like spreading more like friendships amongst drag queens and not being so catty.
Yeah.
But I want to be the Mother Teresa of drag in the future. I'm just kidding.
Someone should be.
Someone needs to be, yeah. I support. Well, Blue, thank you so much for coming on our show. It's been
Thank
a
you for
pleasure.
having me.
Of course. Where can the kids find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at sheisblue_, but my name is just Blue. My first name is not She Is. In case anyone was wondering to clarify. But Twitter, I think it's also She Is Blue. I feel like my Twitter's good. I just take a lot of hot takes, but not hot takes on drag because like, who the fuck am I to judge somebody else, right? But I guess that's it. I don't have Tumblr or Craigslist.
Oh,
What are the
rip,
shit mingle?
rip the Craigslist personal ads, but well, thank you again so much, babe. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll have us. Yes, me and the 50 million animals in this house.
We
Anytime,
appreciated
yeah.
the barking.
Yes, we did actually.
The barks of approval.
The barks of approval. I was Martyr,
I see Tepper.
and this was
We did it.
See you in Feb.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm C Tepper. You can follow me on Instagram at CTEPPER and read my book, The State of Drag, where I interviewed 175 drag queens from around the world. All proceeds go to charity on Amazon.com.
Ooh, I love that. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Drag the Martyr. And if you have any thoughts, comments, dick pics, send them to dragthemartyr@gmail.com.
Listen, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Pandora.
And catch up with past episodes on WERRRK.com. That's WERRRK.com. Artwork for Wigging Out was provided by Glitter Baby Online. That's Glitter Baby Online. Thank you.